Hey guys, I'm Azale, and I'm here with the all-star mid laner of TSM, Bjergsen. Just completed the 2-0 sweep over Cloud9. You know, first off, I want to start by asking you a little bit about mid lane. You know, we saw Vladimir getting some nerfs. Jensen did play it in the first game. I've heard everything from, okay, this champion's worthless now, to no, it's still just as good. I'm curious to hear your opinion on where these mid laners are ranking in the new patch.
I think Vlad is still a really powerful pick right now. I'm not sure if he's like going to be constantly banned as he was in the previous weeks, but you're still going to be seeing him getting picked up early a lot and probably still having a really high presence overall. For Ryze, he was nerfed slightly, I believe, a couple patches ago, but again, he's also still a really strong champ. These are kind of champions where some teams choose to practice into them specifically with different picks and different playstyles, and you can choose to do that, but if you have no experience against it, they're just too strong.
For sure. So coming into this game, you know, playing against Jensen, is there anything that you do, you know, particularly to prepare against him, or is it just kind of another day at the office for you?
Jensen is probably the mid laner I play against the most in practice. The mid laner that I kind of talk to the most about what he thinks is strong, you know, different ways to play the game. So I actually know Jensen really well, and he knows me really well. So it's mostly about just, it is kind of another day at the office. Just a player that I played against a lot. He's extremely skillful, for sure.
Awesome. So, you know, in game one, you guys were pretty much in control macro-wise the whole time, but there was a lot of kills being traded back and forth. You know, it's a very hectic game. You know, how do you guys as a team stay calm in a game like that and continue to make, you know, the right call time and time again to just get ahead in the macro game?
For us, it's pretty simple. It's just looking at where you have an advantage, which lane you have an advantage on, and what the objective is that you're playing for. And then after you've established those two things, it's pretty simple how you're going to go through that. You're going to play through your strong lane, and you're going to play towards a certain objective. That's pretty much how we go with it.
All right, so you guys still haven't lost a best of 3. I gotta ask, are you going undefeated?
It's too early to say. I'm not sure if we'll go undefeated, but I'm hoping for it, obviously.
Well, fair enough. Thank you very much, Bjergsen, and congratulations on the 2-0 win. And that's going to be it for me, guys. We're going to send it back to Dash at the desk.
Thank you very much, Azale. I mean, TSM, they're looking strong. He asked, will they be undefeated? Bjergsen's unsure, but Cloud9 taking them down a second time. That's a big step in the right direction. Of course, there's a couple other top-tier teams they still have to face. But after this showing, I mean, the question remains, who's going to stop them?
Yeah, if there's anybody, it's Immortals, right? Because honestly, if you go down to like the nitty-gritty of how that best of 3 actually came out, they both gave each other their fastest losses of the split so far back then.
Right.
And then that last game was, 3 kills, and then they started doing Rift Herald on Immortal side, and then 3 went back over. So it's honestly literally like one team fight, one decision separates those guys in the standings, and that's why we're seeing them so high up there, because this was supposed to be the 4th place Cloud9. And we just saw the separation, the delta between them. So there's a clear top 2, and there's a clear rest of the league.
Exactly. It became all that much clearer with tonight's series between these two teams. We had the expectation it would be closer. It wasn't. Let's dive into this game 2 and kind of pick this one apart a little bit. Starting in that champion select, of course, we saw the Cassiopeia come out for Bjergsen as we were just referencing, you know, the mid lane meta and how it might evolve. Okay, fine. The Vladimir still gets banned. Ryze still gets banned. Azir still gets banned, so we drop onto that Victor and the Cassiopeia. No surprises necessarily, but...
Yeah, honestly, really no surprise there that the Cassiopeia has been practiced by a lot of pros now. People realize it's a fantastic mid lane champion, adds another one that you can't be banned out. So you look at that, and Bjergsen is always going to get a hyper carry mid laner because there's just too many right now. You can't ban them out unless both teams agree, like, let's ban out only mid laners. Then there's a couple other OP champions left up, but I definitely think that this was a draft that kind of went a little bit standard here for both sides.
All right, well, the lane I want to ask you about, though, is actually this top lane, because Gnar is not something that's been played in the NALCS aside from Zig prior to today. Impact choosing to pick it up, play it today, but to no avail necessarily. So I want to get your thoughts on Gnar as a pick in general, and then it into the Shen in this game.
It's still one of those things where we're seeing a kind of diversification here, because Europe loves Gnar. They're going to pick Gnar pretty much every game top lane because it's that bully, it's that shove in. It's a little bit safer and it has team fight prowess, so it's kind of like a ranged Aurelia during the laning phase, and then you get to the point where you're like, all right, I can have these great high moments where I just shove the entire team against the wall. Into a Shen, I think it's okay. Right? I think that he has a definite edge over Shen early, but he has to pigeonhole his build, so when there's a lot of AP threats on the team, he should be building like kind of mixed, but he needs a lot of gold because he's going for like Frozen Mallet first, Black Cleaver first, so he needs a lot before he comes online. So I personally don't really like the pick. I know that North America as a whole hasn't been on top of that pick yet, and it hasn't hurt us too much.
Well, this is the first showing. Wasn't successful in this series. We'll see if maybe it's successful with future series. Want to dive into gameplay. Our only replay for this one comes 34.5 minutes into the game. TSM 2-0 plus Baron on the back end of this, and a lot of this is just okay. Meteos wanting to contest the Baron. A very good peel from TSM.
Yeah, and I absolutely love the ultimate from Biofrost, the target swapping, and securing this Baron for themselves was absolutely important. They had picked off Impact ahead of time, and then they baited the Baron. So we're seeing a lot of teams just go for these things right off the bat, but if you know they're going to contest, they catch Meteos out of position, Doublelift is in a flanking position, and that's what you need to do is if the jungler is face checking, don't just run straight at him because you'll have a way to disengage with the cask. Make his decision really hard. Does he cask this guy? Does he cask these guys? Because if he had like hit Doublelift back, well, then he's going to get stunned by Biofrost, or maybe the ultimate comes his way. So you have to make their decision as hard as possible and put pressure on them. And that's what TSM have been doing with every team.
Yeah, very much so. Player of the game going to Doublelift this time around. Back on the Lucian that he loves so much. But again, it shows he's performing on this champion, so it only makes sense that they would throw him back onto it every time that it's available.
Yeah, he had some sick outplays in that. Sneaky was actually bodying him a little bit at the start of the game, and it was a really rough lane for them, but he came out on top, and this was a really close player of the game. It was kind of all over the place. It's like, where does this one go? And ultimately, I do think it was the outplay and the fact that he showed a great mechanical prowess and the decision in those split seconds that gave him player of the game.
Well, and it gets tough. When a team's winning this much, and they're winning as decisively as they are, you've got multiple top performers on the team, so it becomes very difficult to give player of the game.
And it's really interesting because when you start diving into like junglers and supports and them getting players of the game, it's like, okay, well, they facilitated this happening.
Yeah.
And when it's really hard to give player of the game, that's usually indicative of how good a team has been playing as a team. Because if a team loses its identity as individuals, then they're really playing to their fullest potential.
Exactly. All right, well, that's going to do it for our first series of the night, but there's more league action coming right up as Team Envy takes on Immortals in our second series of the evening. We're back in just 3.5.
I can't really focus on the game right now, guys. You need to find new AD carry.
Peter-chan! Peter-chan, please!
You must focus, Peter-chan. It's the only way we can win. Oh, Peter-chan, you are perfect.
Impact needs to punish now. TSM actually still here. Sneaky gets him with the cocoon. Not gonna get caught out. The heal's there. The door. One more bullet. Doublelift gets it. That's first blood.
I'm coming up, River.
Yeah, I'm coming up.
Jen, no flash on, no flash on. Coming up, River.
Ooh, we can fight this.
I'm a little slow.
Okay. Can we go at least? We're in drag.
Use 1 HP.
Look at Jin. Okay. We're doing Baron still. We're still on Baron.
Bro, no flash.
All right,
Nice.
TSM 2-0 Cloud9.